I think at some deep level, and just from a purely physics point of view, that we are all connected with the universe all the time anyway. I mean, that's what quantum mechanics is telling us, that science recognizes that we're in a holistic environment, but science has chopped it up simply because you can't study everything and be an expert in everything. So it takes an entire lifetime to become an expert in one tiny little slice of science. And it's easy to forget that everything really is connected to everything else, but it is. So the area of science that is revealing this connectivity mostly is physics, and within physics, mostly quantum physics. Quantum physics is not the end of physics. It will eventually continue in that direction, but if you look at the history of physics, you find that the direction that has been moving is more and more towards complex, hierarchical, holistic models, all of which have to do with relationships among things, and not so much isolated elements. It's also much more difficult to study, because the moment that you start studying something where everything's connected, it's just too big. Nevertheless, that seems to be the nature of reality, in which case we're part of it, so parts of us are connected with the universe. I think most of the time we don't pay any attention to it, because the organism, when the organism is growing the way we evolved, we're pretty much focused on here and now. Because if we weren't, we wouldn't live very long, probably, because you'd walk out into the road and that sort of thing. Nevertheless, those connections are really there, and some people under some circumstances are more sensitive to it than others. I suspect that those that we call psychics and mediums and sensitives and so on, those are people who just naturally have a little bit more of the sense of that connection than others do. So, and somebody is asked to go in their intuition or connect with that universal connectivity, they may not consciously know what you're talking about, but I think at some deeper level they do know it because it's already there. And yet, people have different talents as well. So the people who don't have any idea what you're talking about, and even more than that, will reject the idea, like this is really an independent object and I'm fully capable of just, this is my own universe. The psychological rejection of that probably will make it less effective. It's still there, but it won't do anything because they're not allowing it to. Whereas if you flip it and you go to the other side where people are sensitive to it and open to it, probably a lot more happens.
And what would that more be?
Well, I think if for somebody who's open to the idea that you're connected with everything, and also meaning that you have access to information about probably everything, that if you have a question that needs to be answered, or you have a decision that needs to be made, or possibly you need to do something to change in your body, that the information is available on how to do it. In some cases, it may not be possible. I actually think probably everything is possible, but it may be more difficult. And in other cases, it may be just the right decision to do the right thing at the right time. You ask the universe knows a lot more than your little head does, and you would get an answer that probably would be beneficial. So the right question asked in the right way at the right time, if the answer shows up, and that's pretty good.